Armand Iron Fist Domingo is a rogue colonel, a man of military precision, cunning, and an unwavering thirst for power. The outbreak of the zombie virus in Canada, a place he was sent by the American government as a proxy, has plunged the world into chaos, leaving its people helpless. The government abandoned him, and now, with the streets running red with blood and the air thick with the stench of death, he finds himself in a position to carve out his empire. His long-term goal is clear: become a warlord and claim dominion over what remains of the shattered world. But the world is not so easily taken. Hour 1. The Rise of the Iron Fist. The sirens in downtown Ottawa blare like the wails of a dying city. The skies are choked with smoke, rising from the scattered fires that have begun to take over the city blocks. It's too early for this kind of hell. Too early for society to collapse. But it's happening anyway. Armand Domingo stands in front of a broken window, looking out over the city that has betrayed him. His military uniform, now ripped and stained with dirt and blood, doesn't match the elegance he once had in his position. A former colonel, someone once part of a prestigious force, now a rogue in a world gone mad. His muscles tense as he watches the horde moving in the streets, a mass of writhing, shrieking bodies, clawing and tearing their way through anything that breathes. "Sir, we need to move," Sergeant Harris says, his voice shaking, yet there's still an ounce of respect in his tone. Armand is a man of authority, and that's undeniable. Armand glances at Harris, his cold eyes making the younger man flinch. "I'm not running, Harris. The government abandoned us. We're on our own now. We're not retreating. Not yet. We're taking the fight to them." He pulls the old, rusted map from the desk and spreads it out before the few men who still follow him. There's no time for indecision. No time for fear. Only action. "Here. We'll take the military base outside the city. There's still a chance we can regroup, form a perimeter. I've already got men at the checkpoint, but we need to get there before the horde moves in completely. Any questions?" "What about the civilians?" Harris asks, his voice filled with doubt. "Shouldn't we?" "Shh! The civilians are dead, Harris." Armand cuts him off, his voice like steel. "You think this is a movie? They're dead. And you better accept that. We don't have the resources to babysit. We survive, and if we survive long enough, we build." There's a grim silence in the room. Some of the men shift uncomfortably, but they understand the truth. Armand Iron Fist Domingo never wavered in the face of a mission. But now, the mission had changed. The government had abandoned them. But he would not let the city fall. Not without a fight. He gives one final glance out the window before turning toward his men. We're not heroes. We're survivors. And survival means we make hard choices. Now gear up. We leave in 5. As Armand steps into the streets, the first steps of his strategy become clear. Take control. Survive. That's the immediate goal, but his mind is already working on the long term. The government may have abandoned him, but he would build his own empire from the ashes of this apocalypse. The streets are filled with chaos. Zombies stumble, unaware of the approaching soldiers. Armand's men move swiftly, methodically. The horde isn't smart, just hungry. But they are relentless. The tactical precision of Armand's command is clear. Every movement is calculated, every shot fired with purpose. He orders his men to use minimal ammo, conserving for the fight ahead. They're low on supplies, but he knows that the situation will only worsen, and soon the survivors will need a leader. He would be that leader. Meanwhile, in a nearby building, another survivor, Natalie Graves, a former Canadian intelligence officer, watches the scene unfold through the cracked blinds. She's seen how quickly the world has unraveled, and it terrifies her. But she isn't scared of the dead. It's the living she fears now. She has seen the way the men under Armand's command act. There's something about him, his quiet confidence, the way he commands a room with nothing more than his presence. She knows he's the kind of man who would rise to power in a broken world. But she doesn't know whether that's a good or bad thing. Only time will tell. She picks up her rifle, ready to make her way through the ruins of Ottawa, trying to find out just how far Armand's ambition will go. Back with Armand, the military base is in sight. The zombies are slow, but the numbers are growing. It won't be long before they reach critical mass. "Sergeant Harris," Armand says, turning toward the man, "this is just the beginning. But trust me, if we hold the base, we'll have the foothold we need. and soon enough people will be begging to follow. Harris nods, but there's fear in his eyes. He's seen enough bloodshed already. And what about after, sir? What comes next? Power, Armand answers, his gaze hardening. After this, I'll rule. We'll make our own rules. We'll be the ones who decide who lives, who dies. And if you're with me, Harris, you'll be part of it. But as the first shots are fired, Armand's true goal begins to reveal itself. In the wasteland, power isn't about survival anymore. It's about dominance. The zombies are only the first enemy. Man will prove to be the deadliest. As the first hour ends, Armand Iron Fist Domingo knows one thing. In this new world, he will be king. Hour 2, the Warlord's March. The sounds of gunfire echo across the city, slicing through the ominous silence that had settled like a blanket over Ottawa. The military base looms just a few blocks away, its towering gates now battered by the onslaught of the undead. Armand's men move with practiced precision, rifles at the ready, eyes scanning every corner for threats. The infected are mindless, driven by hunger and chaos, but that doesn't make them any less dangerous. Their numbers are overwhelming, and their growls reverberate through the streets like a terrifying symphony of the damned. "Stay tight!" Armand orders, his voice sharp, cutting through the commotion. "Watch each other's backs. Don't waste ammo. Only fire when you have a clean shot." Harris, still shaken by the brutality of the situation, nods but can't mask the unease in his face. The military training is one thing, but nothing had prepared him for this. Nothing could prepare anyone for the sight of a world disintegrating into pure, unrelenting horror. Armand, on the other hand, is cold, calculating. He moves like a predator among the chaos, eyes constantly darting between his men and the hordes of zombies lumbering forward. There's no fear in him, only a fierce, unwavering determination. The first wave of zombies crashes against the makeshift barricades, their rotting hands scraping against the metal, their bodies writhing in a maddened frenzy. The soldiers are efficient, their training taking over as they fire in controlled bursts, cutting down the undead with deadly accuracy. But the numbers keep coming. No matter how many they kill, more seem to take their place. Armand's mind races, calculating the most efficient way to hold their position and fortify the perimeter. The military base is their objective, but Armand's eyes are already scanning for the next strategic move. "Harris!" Armand barks. "Get to the northern gate. We need to make sure they don't flank us. If we're overwhelmed there, we lose our footing." Harris hesitates for a moment before nodding. "Got it, sir." He hurries off, his boots pounding against the cracked concrete. Armand watches him go, his face unreadable, then turns to the men closest to him. "We're not retreating. We hold this position. If we let them breach, it's over. We make them regret the day they decided to come for us." Meanwhile, across the street from the barricade, Natalie Graves moves with the stealth of a ghost. Her instincts scream at her to stay hidden, but she needs to see Armand, to understand what drives him. She knows that, in this world, the strong survive, and those who are ruthlessly pragmatic like Armand are the ones who end up leading. She's not sure if that's a good thing, Slow, but she knows she needs to survive too. She watches as Armand directs his men, his voice steady, never raising in panic. His eyes, though, they're sharp, hungry for power, for control. She can see it now, how he bends every situation to his will, how the chaos becomes a chessboard for him. The soldiers fight with discipline, following Armand's orders to the letter. One of them, a private named Darren, barely manages to reload before a zombie grabs hold of his leg, sinking its teeth into the flesh. He screams, struggling to free himself, but it's no use. His comrades rush to his aid, but Armand is already there, his cold eyes watching as the private is torn apart in seconds. "Stay focused," Armand yells to the others, his face stone cold. "We're not losing anyone on my watch. Get the fucking gate secure." As the fight continues, Armand's tactical mind never stops. The first hour of battle was just the beginning. He has already assessed the weaknesses in their position. Too many exposed areas, too few people holding the key points. "We'll use the northern and southern gates as traps. Get the zombies in tight, then we hit them with everything we've got." His voice is steady, unwavering. He's not a soldier anymore. He's a leader, a king in the making, and this battle is just one of many to come. We'll hold for now. But if the government wants us alive, they'll send reinforcements. We won't rely on anyone but ourselves. Get ready to move at a moment's notice." The soldiers around him exchange uneasy glances, but there's respect in their eyes. Armand's ruthlessness has kept them alive so far, and as much as they fear what he's becoming, they know he's the one who will keep them breathing. Back at the base, the situation grows increasingly dire. The zombies are relentless, and the perimeter has been breached. One of Armand's men, Lieutenant Marcos, is the first to notice the change. The northern gate is buckling under the weight of the horde. More zombies are flooding through the cracks, and the soldiers inside the base are running out of ammo. "We've got to fall back," Marcos yells, but Armand is already there, his eyes burning with an unshakable intensity. "No." Armand's voice is low, deadly. "We're not falling back. We're advancing. If we leave now, they'll never stop chasing us. We push forward." The men hesitate, but Armand is already at the front, his gun raised. "We don't run. We fight. Do you want to survive? Then you follow me. Move." With no choice but to follow his lead, the soldiers rush forward, guns blazing, cutting down zombies as they push through the growing wave. Armand's mind is already on the next move. "We're taking the power station. If we can get the lights back on, we'll have the edge." As the night wears on, the tension in the streets thickens. The horde is vast, but Armand's iron grip on his men holds steady. They fight with precision, but the odds are still stacked against them. As Armand watches the chaos unfold, he can't help but feel a grim satisfaction. The world may be collapsing, but in the rubble something new is being built, a new order, and Armand will rule it. Hour 3, the battlefield grows darker. The fight isn't over. It's just begun. As the hours pass, Armand's presence grows stronger, more commanding. His men are worn, battered, but they are loyal to the man who isn't afraid to get his hands bloody to make the hard calls. As the night deepens, the battle for survival turns into something more, the battle for dominance. And Armand Iron Fist Domingo is ready to claim it all. Hour 4, the Warlord's Edge. The night is thick with the stench of death. The once bustling streets of Ottawa now resemble a war zone. The flickering of streetlights is the only thing left to illuminate the chaos, casting grotesque shadows over the fallen bodies of the dead and the living. The air hums with tension as Armand Iron Fist Domingo, standing at the center of the battlefield, surveys the destruction with cold, calculating eyes. His men are huddled behind whatever cover they can find, but it's clear that the enemy is growing stronger with each passing moment. Armand doesn't need to look back to know that the zombies are overwhelming their positions. The gates of the military base have been compromised. The outer walls are now teeming with infected, clawing their way through with mindless fury. But Armand, ever the strategist, has a different plan. He knows that the key to survival isn't retreat, it's maintaining control. "Harris!" Armand calls, his voice commanding, cutting through the clamor of battle. "Get to the fuel depot. We need to set the perimeter on fire, slow them down. We don't need the whole city in flames, just enough to keep them contained." Harris, whose face is covered in sweat and dirt, nods grimly, understanding the weight of the order. "Understood, sir." He turns to his squad and gives a quick set of commands before darting into the shadows. As Armand watches his men execute his orders with ruthless efficiency, a deep sense of satisfaction washes over him. His control over the situation is ironclad. There's no room for weakness in this world. The government may have abandoned them, but Armand will not fall into the same trap of hesitation. "No hesitation, no mercy," he mutters under his breath. Meanwhile, deep inside the military base, Lieutenant Marcos is struggling to maintain order. His unit, once a well-trained force, is now a haphazard collection of desperate men. The weight of failure hangs heavy in the air, but Marcos knows one thing. As long as Armand is still breathing, they have a chance. He huddles with a few of the remaining soldiers in the command center, trying to stay one step ahead of the zombie horde. The walls are lined with maps and communication equipment, but the radio is nothing more than a dead zone, a silent testament to the collapse of any outside help. "Sir!" Marcos calls over to Armand, who is staring out at the battlefield through a cracked window. "We've got an issue. There's a large cluster of zombies pushing through the south entrance. If they break through, we'll lose our western side. We'll be pinned down. Armand turns toward Marcos with cold precision. His face is streaked with dirt and blood, but his eyes gleam with an eerie calm. Don't worry about the south entrance. I've already planned for that. We'll use the flamethrowers to clear them out. You focus on the west. Use the barricades. Force them to funnel in. We'll mow them down. Marcos's heart skips a beat at the suggestion. The flamethrowers are a risky move, but Armand's logic is undeniable. If they can clear the southern entrance and hold the western side, they can keep the horde contained and give themselves a chance to regroup. Understood, sir, Marcos replies, his voice firm. The fear in his eyes is hidden behind his resolve. Back at the fuel depot, Harris and his squad are working quickly, securing tanks of gasoline and positioning makeshift explosives near key points along the perimeter. They're racing against time. Every second matters. The roar of the zombies echoes in the distance as the horde draws closer. Harris sets the last tank of fuel in place, his hands shaking. This better work, he mutters under his breath. We're not going to last much longer without it. With a final check of the explosives, he pulls back. Light it up, he commands. The fuse is lit, and within moments, the fuel depot explodes in a flash of blinding light, sending a wall of fire and smoke racing across the streets. The zombies near the perimeter are instantly caught in the blaze, their bodies writhing in agony as they burn, but it's enough to slow them down, at least for now. The flames stretch high into the sky, casting a hellish glow over the city. Hour 5. The Crucible of Power. The fire is a double-edged sword. It buys them time, but it also brings attention. The flames have become a beacon, a signal to the other zombies that there's something worth feeding on. Armand knows that it's only a matter of time before the horde converges on their position with greater force. Inside the military base, Armand stands tall, his face expressionless as the battle rages on. The sound of gunfire and distant screams fills the air. His men are weary, their morale fraying, but Armand keeps his composure. He knows that if they're going to survive this, they need more than just guns. They need control. They need leadership. Armand paces in front of his men, his voice cutting through the din of battle. This is it. We hold our ground and we take what's ours. There's no room for failure. If we die here, we die on our terms. If we live, we rebuild. You want to be survivors? Then you follow me. The soldiers nod grimly, their fear replaced with a renewed sense of purpose. They've seen the ferocity with which Armand leads, and they know there's no going back now. This fight will define them. This battle will define him. Marcos, Armand says, his voice steady. Take a team to the northern side. Set up sniper positions. We need eyes on the horde. Yes, sir. Marcos salutes, then moves to rally his team. Armand watches him go, his mind already working on the next phase. He's not just fighting for survival anymore, he's positioning himself to rule. The government might have abandoned them, but they'll be begging for his help soon enough. And when that day comes, Armand will be ready to take everything. Meanwhile, outside the city, Natalie Graves has been watching from a distance, hidden among the ruins of a nearby building. The sound of explosions and gunfire echoes in her ears, but her attention is fixed on one man, Armand. She knows now that he's not just a survivor. He's a predator, and the city is his prey. Her instincts scream at her to get out, but she knows that she can't leave. Not yet. Not while Armand is still in control. If she wants to survive, she needs to understand him, how he thinks, what drives him. There's power in knowledge. As she watches Armand's movements, a chill runs down her spine. She's not sure what kind of man he's become, but she knows that in this world, he's the kind of man who will shape the future, one way or another. Hour 6, a new dawn. The night is far from over, and the fight is far from won. The zombie horde continues to press on, but Armand has already begun to turn the tide in his favor. The base is still standing, the perimeter is holding, and his men are more loyal than ever. But the real battle is just beginning. Armand knows that in a world where power is all that matters, only the ruthless will survive. And Armand Iron Fist Domingo is nothing if not ruthless. This is just the beginning. The city may be burning, but Armand's future is only getting brighter, and soon Ottawa will belong to him. Hour 7, the shifting sands. The fire rages on, casting long dancing shadows over the city. The flames consume everything in their path, creating an eerie contrast between the destruction and the flickering light that illuminates Armand Iron Fist Domingo's path. As he walks through the chaos, every step is calculated, every decision deliberate. The zombies are relentless, trapped in their mindless hunger, but Armand understands the psychology of warfare better than anyone. The fire that once slowed the horde is now attracting more of them. They're drawn like moths to a flame, not realizing that it's their doom. Armand's eyes gleam with cold determination. He's not playing to survive anymore. He's playing to win. Inside the command center, Lieutenant Marcos and the remaining soldiers are stationed, their eyes bloodshot from hours of combat and the tension that hangs thick in the air. The base is still holding, but just barely. Reports keep coming in, more zombies on the way. The barricades they've set up are proving to be a temporary solution. Marcos's team is stretched thin, and the constant strain is wearing them down. Armand's presence brings a stark contrast to the madness, an iron pillar amidst the disarray. He stands before them, arms crossed, surveying the tactical maps. His gaze shifts between the base's defenses and the growing mass of undead outside. "We can't afford to wait for them to come to us," he says, his voice low but steady. Marcos looks up, brow furrowed, unsure of what his superior is thinking. "What do you mean, sir?" "We hit them before they hit us." Armand's voice cuts through the fog of uncertainty. "I want a counterattack. Get a team ready to move out. We'll hit them where they're weakest, right at the edge of the city. We break their lines, push them into a bottleneck, and then we start clearing them out. We're not just surviving this anymore, Marcos. We're reclaiming this city." Marcos stares at him for a moment, unsure of whether to challenge the orders. But something in Armand's gaze, the same cold, ruthless confidence that's defined him since the beginning, tells him not to argue. He nods, gritting his teeth. "Yes, sir, I'll gather the men." As Marcos rushes to execute Armand's orders, Armand steps into a dimly lit corner of the base, where Sergeant Harris waits with a few of the more battle-hardened soldiers. Their faces are tired, but they all know who they're following. "Harris, you're with me," Armand orders, his voice sharp. "We take the northern route and force them into the streets. We set up another flamethrower line as a fallback. No mercy, Harris." Harris nods grimly. The weight of the mission hangs heavy on his shoulders, but there's no room for hesitation. "Understood, sir." He stands, his eyes meeting Armand's with a newfound respect. The mission ahead is perilous, but it's one that could change the course of this fight. The breaking point. The battle has escalated. Armand's counterattack has caught the zombie horde by surprise. The streets are now a war zone, the air thick with smoke, the sounds of gunfire and screams echoing off the buildings. It's a bloody, brutal affair, but Armand is in his element. Every command he gives is executed with military precision. His men are moving with ruthless efficiency, pushing the undead back, cornering them and wiping them out in swift, coordinated strikes. Armand's charisma and cold leadership shine through. He is their rock, their unyielding force. But even in the chaos, there's a realization creeping in. They're not just fighting zombies anymore. They're fighting for control, for power. And power, Armand knows, doesn't come without cost. As the battle rages on, Natalie Graves makes her move. She's been trailing Armand for hours, keeping a safe distance but never losing sight of him. She's come to realize that survival in this world doesn't come from fighting off zombies alone. It comes from aligning with those who understand how to wield power. She knows that Armand isn't just a soldier, he's a warlord in the making. And if she's going to survive, she needs to be in his orbit. She approaches the outskirts of the battlefield, careful not to draw attention to herself. From her vantage point, she watches as Armand leads his men forward, his silhouette framed by the flickering light of the fire and gunshots. He is their leader, their king. But she also knows that in this world, even kings can fall. Hour 9. The tipping point. Armand's counterattack has created a temporary respite. The northern sector is now clear, the streets littered with the bodies of the undead. But even as his men take a moment to catch their breath, Armand remains vigilant. His eyes are scanning the horizon, watching for any sign of weakness in the enemy's lines. "Keep the pressure up," he orders. "We don't stop until we've pushed them all the way back to the city limits. No regrouping. No mercy." The soldiers move out again, but Armand's mind is already calculating the next phase. This city will be his. But as he stands there, watching his men push forward, a nagging thought worms its way into his mind. The zombies don't stop. The horde might thin out in this sector, but there are always more. Always. And yet that's exactly how Armand wants it. Exhaustion, weakness, that's when the real fight begins. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Marcos leads a separate team to the western side of the base. They've successfully barricaded a section of the streets, but Marcos knows it's only a matter of time before the zombies break through again. The situation is starting to feel like an endless cycle, a grind that wears down not just the body, but the spirit. "We've got a problem," Marcos mutters to one of his men. "We've taken too many casualties, and there's no way we're going to hold this side for much longer." His soldier looks at him, fear evident in his eyes. "Sir, are we pulling back?" Marcos hesitates, his mind racing, but then he remembers Armand's words. "We fight to the last man. That's the only rule left. No, we hold the line. We wait for backup." But in his gut, he knows that there's no backup coming. Not from the government, not from anyone. It's just them now. Hour 10. A flicker of hope. The night drags on, but there's a faint sense of hope that hasn't been there before. Armand's counter-offensive is working. The zombies are retreating in some areas, driven back by the sheer force of the military's response. The base is still standing, barely, but Armand knows better than to rest easy. This is just the beginning. "Get ready for the next phase," he tells Harris as the two of them stand at the edge of the barricade. "We're going to push harder. It's time to take the fight to the heart of this city. We make our stand there." Harris looks at him, his expression steely. "Understood, sir." As Armand surveys the horizon, a thought crosses his mind. There's no going back now. The city of Ottawa, soon it will be his. Hour 11. The calm before the storm. The uneasy quiet of hour 11 hangs heavy over the battlefield. Armand Iron Fist Domingo stands atop the remnants of a collapsed building, his eyes narrowing as they scan the landscape. The city is a fractured shell of its former self, smoke curling into the night sky, but in the wake of the chaos, there's a strange stillness. The zombies haven't stopped, but the noise from their relentless attacks has lessened. It's as if the undead are regrouping, pulling back in a way that makes Armand uneasy. Something's not right. Armand takes a moment to assess the situation. His soldiers, battered and worn, are stationed in key positions. The barricades hold for now, but he can feel the tension in the air. They know it's only a matter of time before they're tested again. Lieutenant Marcos stands at the edge of the eastern barricade, his gaze locked onto the distance. The quiet has settled in, but it's an unnatural silence, like the calm before a storm. He looks over at Private Donnelly, who's been manning the perimeter. His eyes are glassy, his face pale. "You see anything?" Marcos asks, trying to break the silence, his voice low. Donnelly shifts, his hands gripping his rifle tighter. "No, sir. Just stillness. It feels off, like they're waiting for something." Marcos nods slowly, his fingers tapping against the rifle slung over his shoulder. They're not just waiting, they're regrouping. He turns, searching for Armand amidst the chaos of their command post. "Where the hell is he?" Armand stands at the center of the operation, his mind working rapidly. The horde had been driven back, but his instincts tell him this is only the beginning of something far worse. The undead are unpredictable. And that was their greatest strength. If they were organized, if they adapted, they could overwhelm even the most fortified positions. His plan had been to drive them out, reclaim territory, and build momentum. But now, with a creeping sense of foreboding, he knows that his next move will decide everything. The key is control. Not just of the territory, but of the narrative, the fight, the very essence of survival. He's not here to play defense. He's here to dominate, to take the reins of this chaos and bend it to his will. He turns to Sergeant Harris, his face set in stone. "We're going on the offensive. I want a full strike at their core. We hit them hard and fast, and we make sure they know who's in charge." Harris nods. Yes, sir. We'll mobilize. But Armand's mind lingers on something darker. The government has abandoned them. The Canadian authorities have pulled back, leaving them to fend for themselves. The Americans, their supposed allies, are no better. This city is a ticking time bomb, and with each passing hour, the walls are closing in. Armand knows that the government's absence is no accident. They were never coming. That realization fuels him. He's on his own, and the only way to survive and thrive is to seize power. Hour 12, the final hour. The sun is long gone, leaving only the faint glow of fires scattered throughout the city. The chaos is still ongoing, but there's a sense that the worst is yet to come. Armand's forces, fueled by the intensity of the past 12 hours, prepare for the final push. The air is thick with the metallic scent of blood, and the sound of distant gunfire is like a drumbeat in the background. Armand stands before his troops once more, his commanding presence as strong as ever. He surveys the men and women around him, the last remnants of his army. They trust him, they follow him. And now they are about to do something no one else dares. They will reclaim this city. Listen up, Armand begins, his voice a sharp, commanding tone that cuts through the murmur of the soldiers. In the next few hours, we will make our stand. We're not just pushing back the undead, we're taking control. This city, this land, it's ours now, and we fight for the future we will build. No one leaves until we've secured every block. His gaze sweeps over the men and women, his soldiers, his future subjects. We hit the heart of the city. We wipe them out, and we set up our stronghold. No one, not the zombies, not the government, not anyone, is going to take this from us. The soldiers, though weary, stand taller, their fear replaced with something more dangerous, resolve. Natalie Graves watches from a distance, her eyes narrowing. She's seen the transformation in Armand. From a soldier trying to survive to a leader claiming his throne. This is what he's always wanted. The chaos, the bloodshed, it's just another opportunity for him to rise. She knows, with a cold certainty, that this is the point of no return. Armand is playing a different game now, one with stakes that go far beyond mere survival. As Armand's forces mobilize, Natalie steps closer, keeping her distance just enough not to draw attention. She can feel the tension in the air, the anticipation of what's to come. The final battle for control is about to begin. And in this new world, only one rule applies. Those who act first rule last. The streets of Ottawa, final assault. The roar of gunfire is deafening. Armand's forces surge forward, cutting through the horde with ruthless efficiency. The battle is fierce, bloody, and unrelenting, but there's an undeniable momentum behind them now. They fight not just for survival, but for power. The zombies are relentless, but they are not smart. They are not tactical. Armand's soldiers under his command are. They set up choke points, use fire as a weapon, and carve through the undead with precision. They move as one unit, unified by the cold, merciless will of their leader. Armand strides through the carnage, his face a mask of determination. As he passes, his men take heart. He's not just leading them, he's showing them the way. In the distance, a loud explosion shakes the ground. The final line of resistance, the last barricade between Armand's forces and the heart of the city, has been breached. The zombies are flooding in, but the tide of battle is shifting. This city will belong to him. And as the last of the undead are pushed back, Armand stands victorious, his silhouette framed against the fire-lit skyline. But Armand knows this is just the beginning. The fight for power is only beginning. Now he'll take what's his, no matter the cost. The blood of this city will be the foundation upon which he builds his empire. Hour 12, baptism by fire. The Canadian government is gone, or at least that's what the silence from HQ confirms. No updates, no support, no orders, no extraction. Abandoned. Armand Iron Fist Domingo had seen it coming. The moment his last comms with Ottawa were cut off, he knew. Canada was just a chessboard, disposable, like every other American proxy. He wasn't a general. He was a pawn until now. Now he's a king in a broken land. In the command center, the map table flickers from the generator's unstable power. The walls throb with the pounding of distant undead fists like a war drum. Lieutenant Marcos slams a radio onto the table. No contact with Joint Task Force Bravo. They're gone. All of them. Edmonton's burning. Halifax is gone. Toronto... Enough, Armand snaps. The room freezes. Even the static hum of dying electronics seems to pause. We are not waiting for orders. We are not hoping for a rescue. This is it. This is the moment. He grabs a marker and starts drawing fast on the laminated map, circles and arrows in bold, urgent strokes. We collapse our perimeter and funnel them here. He slashes a red line across the old industrial corridor into Sector 9. We blow the old chemical plant, level it, leave a crater they can't crawl out of. We make a wall of corpses so high the next wave will choke on it. Marcos stares at the map. You want to blow up half the city? Armand doesn't flinch. I want to draw a line in blood. We do this, and I don't care what's left the government or NATO. They'll have to notice us, not as survivors, not as refugees, as warlords. Harris grins. And if they don't... Armand lights a cigarette with a trembling match. His face is smeared with ash and blood. His knuckles are raw. His eyes are alive. Then we become the government. Sector 9, 23 minutes later. The last trucks scream through the battered streets, headlights bouncing off ruined glass and piles of corpses. Civilians, what's left of them, are packed in the middle of the convoy, flanked by soldiers with dead eyes and full mags. Marcos rides shotgun in the lead vehicle, shouting coordinates into the radio. Armand rides on a technical mounted 50 cal behind him, helmet off. Scarred face lit by the muzzle flashes as they push through a fresh swarm. He turns to Corporal Velez, one of his quietest but deadliest scouts. When the fuel tanks blow, we close the gate and never open it again. If anyone's left behind, Velez nods, they're already dead. The final detonation at the chemical plant lights up the night sky like Judgment Day. A blast so massive it flattens buildings and shatters bone. Fire rains down like molten angels. The horde, tens of thousands strong, is vaporized, crushed or buried in flaming rubble. And standing at the edge of the inferno, blood dripping from his gloves, eyes full of war, is Colonel Armand, Iron Fist Domingo. End of Hour 12, Phase 1 complete. Canada has no more government, but it has a new ruler. And he's not here to save the world. He's here to build an empire out of its ashes.